You might just think Ninja is, as Evan called it, the Draconic super cool and balanced hero called Cindra, where I said she's the Draconic she-devil class, but Ninja is more of a precision class, and there's more than heroes than just the Cindra name. A sequencing puzzle wrapped in an aggro shell where one misstep can collapse an entire turn, and one perfect chain can feel absolutely unstoppable. Tonight, we're slowing things down just enough to really understand why Ninja has been a staple of Flesh and Blood since Welcome to Rathe, why it rewards discipline more than recklessness, and why the difference between a good ninja player and a great one is rarely about speed, but it's always about making decisions. I'm Will,
I'm Evan.
and Evan, before we go right into the ninja class deep dive, where it won't just be the Syndra Dog and Pony show, what did we learn since last week?
Well, I tried out recently. There was a calling where Liath did quite well,
Hmm.
and I tried their list, and I don't understand it at all.
I heard about
um,
this live tearing up the tournament scene. So, what made the list so
yeah,
different?
it was it was more aggro focused, which
Mm.
I like. It had a lot of attack reactions in it, like Razor
Razor
Reflex,
reflex. Yep.
and then it also like had a defensive slant as well. It was running cards like Peace of Mind and Sigil of Solace.
What's the peace of mind card? I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I guess you didn't live during the Oldhim days, so you wouldn't know that card. It's a 2 cost instant that prevents 4 damage, 4 physical damage, and gets you a ponder token. Yeah,
And do you run the red and the blue, or just the blue?
just the red actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Interesting.
Lyeth comes with an extra card in hand, so
Yeah.
being able to make use of that extra card
Hmm.
by playing cards like Peace of Mind is pretty good. I couldn't crank the deck. It had a lot of issues when I played it, but that was my first time trying it. So yeah, I've been doing that. I've been practicing Cindra because I'm planning on going to Seattle next week.
All
So that's
right.
gonna
All
be
right.
fun. So
Nice. Nice. So, I love the cost curve on peace of mind. That too fits in right with Elias' game plan. So,
yep.
all right. So, gradually, good luck at Seattle next week. I know Ning's planning on being up there. I guess there's no secret that he's probably going to be taking his puffin. And since you just said you're taking your Syndra, hopefully you guys won't team kill like first round, 2 rounds, because how silly would that be? You guys are traveling separately. He's up there for, you know, other things other than just the calling. So how funny would that be? You guys faced off. I hope that doesn't happen. Let me knock on wood. Uh, so yeah, I'll tell you now, I learned since last week that giveth brute taketh away. So for some reason my Reinhardt deck was running really smooth. On Sunday I went 3-0 at the Armory, really liked it. Took it to Tuesday and went 1-2. So not as consistent as I liked. Was playing around with a couple different lines, didn't work out. It was just, I lost to Sinclair's Ira. He popped off really hard with a, double ancestral empowerment with a whirling mistblade. I mean, if you got it, you got it. So, and after that, it was like a slow decline. But usually, like I could get people down pretty far in health. I made a misplay against Tommy's RKO, and Tommy really liked that deck. So I had the life lead, let him get the life lead because I thought I was going to smack back hard. I did not, in fact, smack back hard because RKO does a defensive reaction really well. So it was good. And you think, hey, Reinhardt would probably be able to get past that with intimidates, but didn't quite work out that well. And then since then, I just kind of been thinking about what I wanted to play for skirmish, which, as you said, skirmish is a not a deep
Clown
thought.
clown format blitzes. Yeah.
Oh, hey,
But the
you said it more
it's okay,
poetically.
guys. It's okay. The clown is almost dead. So
Yeah,
we don't have
that
to deal with it for much longer. No,
we
Blitz
actually.
is a fun format as long as like you don't there are no stakes involved.
Hmm.
Um, because it's kind of like one of those like sometimes you're just like, oh, I lost. That was really BS. And then like if you don't care, you're just like, whatever, we'll move on. But the moment you like start caring, then it becomes a little more problematic of a format.
Hmm. Well, I guess it's a little different than Living Legends because it's still kind of I still kind of get like that degenerate vibe from it, but at least with Living Legends you have 40 health, which sometimes mitigate. the BS that happens at lower life. But we'll see. Like tomorrow's our skirmish and Tuesday's our skirmish. So once we get 2 skirmishes done, we're skirmished free for the rest of our Fab career unless we pick up side events. So speaking of next week in Seattle, do they have any Sage formats going on, or is it just purely the calling?
They sure do. Battle Harden's going to be Sage, so I also
Uh,
built a Sage deck.
Okay. Do you want to say what it is, or you want to keep it secret until next week?
I'm bringing Pleiades, so that's
Okay.
going to be fun.
Y- Interesting, interesting. Have you talked to anyone else about your Pleiades deck, or was it just mind grapes on table and you created it?
Yeah, I mean Pleiades is a real deck in the format, so
Yeah.
like I've been referencing other people's lists. I know Tommy had a list that was
Hmm.
pretty cool. So
Yeah. I know. They still want us to challenge us in a stage off, siblings and cardboard and us. So we gotta get that set up. But with the holidays hitting, it's kind of hard for everyone. But all right. So main topic time. Links down below. I should always say that earlier, but I always forget. Yeah, let's talk about ninjas, right? So you would think that after this last meta, a ninja just solely is represented by one Draconic lady that goes very wide and has on hit momentum triggers and all this stuff. But for those newer players, ninjas existed since Welcome to Wraith and is mechanically an intense class in Flesh and Blood, usually, right? I would say even still with Cindra to get the most out of that kit, you have to be very methodical in some of your sequences, not just throw red cards down on the table. But you can correct me if I'm wrong, Evan. You have more experience in that class than I do,
yeah,
or
I
in
think
that hero.
Indra. Well, we'll talk about a bunch of different
Hmm.
heroes, and I would definitely say like there's a range. Like certain heroes are way harder to play than others, but that's just Flesh and Blood in general.
Yeah.
For the most part, a lot of the normal ninja heroes, I would probably argue, are like low skill ceiling, like or low skill floor. Like they're easy to like pick up and play at a decent pace, but they have high skill ceilings. Like Cindra, like there's a reason why you keep seeing the same players over and over again
Hmm.
wins events as Cindra. And that's because like they're the best of the best. They know how to do the sequencing with the
Yeah.
deck and what specific cards need to go in. Um and yeah, we'll get into that more a bit later, but yeah, like that's just Flesh and Blood in general. So even heroes that at first look pretty simple to play can be quite complicated. Like once
Yeah.
you get down to it.
Yeah, and I think that's something Jose, one of our locals, has always been saying about Cindra. Like, a lot of people saying Cindra was super easy, super easy. And I'm just using Cindra as an example since she's top of mind. But really, like a good example is you, Evan. Like when you went to the Pro Quest and got the top spot, you know, you got the goal full, all that works. But really, sometimes your play lines came down to you just getting that one bit, a little bit more health, that little bit more power damage leaking through, and you had to set that up multiple turns ahead just so you could pull out that victory. So sequencing and then playing, in advance. But so on paper, ninjas could look like they play a bunch of attacks that go wide and they draw cards, but in reality, ninjas do have a kind of a tight sequencing puzzle, like, and then you also want to set yourself up for the future turns too. So I kind of love that. Also, I think ninjas have some of the coolest looking hero art out there. You got Katsu, Cindra Phi, you have Benji. I'm just joking about Benji, by the way. He doesn't look cool. I mean,
We love Benji. Dang.
and then we can't forget about the iconic Ira, right?
We do love Ira. But yeah,
Yeah,
I guess we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
yeah, yeah.
I guess so like background on Ninja as a class. Ninja, as you mentioned, was one of the first four classes in the game. And it was uniquely poised as like the go again class, right? Like Guardian and Brutes generally were meant to be like one big ol' attack.
Hmm.
Ninja was meant like a bunch of small little pings here and there. None of the attacks are particularly large. You're just kind of like, oh, whatever, I can take these. But altogether, it comes together to be a lot of damage. So
Hmm.
that's kind of Ninja's stick, just being able to go as wide as possible.
Yeah. I mean, you even gave us the title to this based off the old Ira deck, Death by a Thousand Cuts. It was Ira that used to play that, right? And
Yeah.
then, yeah, so you're like, I was like, I need a title. You're like, Death by a Thousand Cuts. What Ira? What we used to call the Ira deck. I was like, cool, I'll take it. So do you want to cover a few of the key concepts? I mean, I really could, like in all the brainstorming, really come down with two. That's the combo and Draconic, but I could also, I think we could talk about head jab. I know that's not really a key concept here,
I
but
think head jab is a key concept. I would
okay.
actually, funnily enough, I would argue Draconic is not a key concept
Okay,
because that's
okay.
the key concept of Draconic heroes.
Okay, so take out the Draconic talent. So let's go ahead and
Yeah.
talk about head jab and combo real quick.
So yeah, I definitely mentioned before. Well, I think one of the big key concepts, of course, is just going wide,
Hmm.
right? Small go again attacks, and you will see that with like every single mechanic that we talk about. And Ninja is by far the class with the most go again attacks, and is basically like one of the only classes that just gets like go again attacks with no strings attached, right? Like efficient go again attacks with no strings attached. So if you can bring up head jab, like yep.
Right.
So head jab, very simple, 0 for 3, go again 2 block, and head jab, to be completely frank, doesn't really see play at all anymore. We're bringing this up because it's the most basic version of a 0 for 3 go again. Ninja's bread and butter is 0 for 3 go agains, and they have like a billion different copies of these, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I remember when we talked about our different sets coming out, you're like, oh, it's another head jab. Oh, it's another head jab. And so that's just really referencing the 0 for 3 go again kind of stereotype card. And then sometimes there's other relevant text to it, but it's really, you're just calling it head jab because that's exactly what it does. Puts a little
yeah,
pressure, extends the chain. So, all right.
yeah.
And
So that
then,
would be, I guess, the first big one is go again in general. I think often enough, I think is one of the best classes for new players to learn about to start the game with, just because like understanding how go again works is so kind of key to flesh and blood in general,
mm,
and ninja like does it the simplest, right? So many other classes need to like jump through so many hoops. Like you think of Reinhardt, it's like,
mm,
oh, I need to blood rush so my claws get go again when
right, right.
to discard, and it's like I'm like 0 for 3 go again.
Right. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Or the wild ride draw discard. It has to be six to get go again. Which,
yeah, exactly.
how many times have I whiffed in last week with that? So what's a
One,
good combo card to bring up? Like, would you want to
yeah,
say 100
I think
wins?
no. Let's do. I mean, let's just do the key one, bonds of ancestry,
Okay.
because that's kind of like the most powerful one.
Okay.
But essentially, so combo is a mechanic that says like if the previous chain link was a specific card, in this case a card with the word Gust Wave in it, then this card will gain go again and essentially allow you to tutor for a card in your deck that has the same name as a card in
Hmm.
your graveyard, right? Which is an incredibly powerful effect, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so certain ninjas will use this sort of combo mechanic, and it seems very tough to be able to say like how do you line those up properly, but
Mm,
like some of the ninja heroes have ways to tutor for specific combo cards so you can kind of line them up properly in that scenario, right? I think ninjas come in two separate versions, right? The ninjas that very much care about combo,
mm,
which have like tutor abilities, and then the ninjas that do not care about combo. And those are generally just like generic go wide decks
mm.
versus sort of like more combo oriented decks.
Yeah. And I guess to give you an example as a precursor, Katsu would be your combo oriented deck, Cindra would be your go wide massive attack deck. So, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how you could think about those two. All right, excellent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, when we do these class deep dives, I know it's been a while since, so much relevant other topics have come up. And these are kind of, as we're going through it, we kind of cycle through these. Uh, but what we'd like to do is cover an overview. First, the offensive strength and weaknesses, then the defensive strength and weaknesses, and then possibly covering any of the key cards that we didn't cover in this next section, right? So anything that we failed to mention that we think should give an honorable mention will be in the key card section right after this. But yeah, this will help people just generally get an understanding of how ninjas kind of play in Flesh and Blood. Both are, why people play them and then also how to kind of combat against them. So
Yeah.
one of their offensive strengths, you
Yeah,
know.
I think some of the big offensive strengths, of course, are, and we sort of already talked about it, but go again.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, if you want to be offensive, like being able to look at your 4 card hand and say, "Oh, every single card in my hand has go again," I can just throw up my hand and like do a lot of damage, right? Like
Mm.
a lot of heroes, like you give Guardian a 4 card hand, they're like, "What do I do with this, man? I'm gonna swing my hammer for 4."
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah. So yeah, Ninja's one of the classes that can often enough use their hands extremely well, extremely efficiently. They also have a lot of sort of, I would say, positive on hits for themselves, right?
Mm.
I mean, let's just bring up Mask of Momentum, one of my favorite cards.
Sure. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, who doesn't like to talk about mom, right?
Who doesn't like to talk about mom? Very true. But yeah, so Mask of Momentum is essentially like it's a headpiece. Then you get to draw a card once per turn. So this just is like if you're running this headpiece, then your attacks have on hit triggers, right? Like full
Yeah.
stop, right? And that's insane, because on hit triggers are kind of the bread and butter of Flesh and Blood. Like that is so very strong. So forcing your opponent to interact with you or you get to draw a card is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
But this isn't the only piece of equipment. I think Ninja has a lot of equipment that just like incrementally gets them additional value, right? Another is Tiger, Strip, Shuko, and even Flick Knives, right? Though let's look at the Shuko first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one, if the it's an arm piece, if the second attack card with 2 or less base power you control gets +1 power. And this is once again just like an onboard effect. Every turn this can trigger and just net you an extra +1 power. Like this is a very, very insane effect.
Yeah.
And then Flick Knives is the same way in Cindra, right? Because you can flick a dagger every single turn to just get +1 value off of any given turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say like a key strength of them is how powerful their equipment is at like increasing your aggression.
I never really thought about that, but yeah, if you're talking about the length of the game, even if it's like 5 turns, 6 turns, but you do these effects every turn, that's still 5 points of value if you don't block with the equipment off one arm piece, which is great value in generally, right? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, and you really do force your opponent to interact with you. So, yeah, I mean, I know also another strength offensively is their low cost attacks. We saw the head job; it's 0 for 3. Very rarely do I see even a lot of the ninja attacks go higher rate than that, or there's a way to mitigate the cost on those rates to like bring it down. Like we saw with Whelming Gust Wave, if Gust Wave was played before this, it reduced the cost by 2. So there's always like little tricks like that to help decrease the cost of an attack as well.
Yeah, Ninja doesn't generally have many attacks that are like particularly big. They get like some 2 cost cards, but most of
Mm,
their 2 cost attacks are like Bonds of Ancestry, which is like this costs 2 less
yeah.
if you do the combo thing, right? So yeah, I would definitely say like small attacks are pretty powerful. Another big strength I would say is just like inevitability, right? A card that I would definitely want to bring up is the Harmonized Kodachi, which is kind of like the absolute classic of all classic weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, just essentially 1 cost attack. If you have a 0 cost in your pitch zone, then it gets go again.
Hmm.
So Kodachi for 1, Kodachi for 2 as Ira, or for 1 as any other hero.
Mm.
Just a classic play line. And when I say inevitability, like I'm talking like evasive damage, because when we think of evasive damage, a lot of people like to think about like dominate, right?
Hmm.
About overpower. But another good way to play evasive damage is to just swing for 1. If I'm
Yeah.
swinging at you for 1 go again, what are you gonna do? Block with
Um.
like a 3 block from hands?
Either way, if you block with a 3 block from hand, you got 2 points of value off that interaction, right?
Yeah,
They had to
exactly.
overblock. So most of the time, you're going to take the damage, right? So like you want to take that one damage because it's like more efficient than blocking with the card from hand. I get it, right?
Yeah. And then we of course we even have a term for it. We call it Kodachi locking. When your opponent's at 1 life
Yeah.
and You just Kodachi for one, they have to give you a 3 block. Kodachi for one, they have to give you a
Yeah.
3 block.
I've
Yeah,
it's
it's brutal.
Yeah, very rarely do I see someone come back from a Kodachi locked unless they get absolutely lucky. Right? That's why Ning was not invited to the cast tonight, right? Evan, we didn't want to hear the story again, and I'm
He
just
Ning
kidding.
is the only person to get out of Kodachi locking against me. So,
But talk about
um,
Top Deck. Anyways, I'm sure he would have loved to share that story again because that's his call to fame with you.
yeah, it was a pretty great game, but
Yeah.
yeah. So evasive damage is pretty big. It's very tough to
Mm,
fatigue a ninja just because like they have so many ways to like chip in and like
mm,
eventually like if time goes on they will kill you. And
mm,
honestly, like a lot of people think of like ninjas as like these hyper aggro decks, but because of this evasive damage, they've actually been played in the past as defensive decks, right? Just
mm,
because like if you're playing a long game, if you can chip in with Kodachis like every single turn, eventually you will get your opponent to that Kodachi lock stage,
mm.
and that can just win you the game, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
yeah, like
mean,
ninjas have like so much flexibility when it comes to like offensive strength in that way.
yeah, I know sometimes the pressure is when you see your life taken down and you know you're on a timer. You as a opponent fighting a ninja, and you're like, okay, well, I really can't start blocking this. Now there are some exceptions, like Valiant Dynamos from the warrior class. Can usually block the first one, but it's still like applying pressure, right? So let's talk about a few of their offensive weaknesses. I know, generally speaking, low attack power is kind of common. Like we saw the 0 for 3 head jab. There's very few 0 for 4s, although sometimes people do execute them really well. Or if they are 0 for 4, they usually have a condition that you have to fulfill to execute them. Um,
Yeah,
do you have one that comes to mind by chance? Like it could be a Cindra card too, but
I think cut through is the big 0 for 4 go again.
so yep, seems a good one.
Yeah, cut through is conditional. There are certain other classes, like for instance, mechanologist gets a lot of 0 for 4 go against,
Hmm.
and for instance, like lightning heroes get a lot of 0 for 4 go against. Ninja does not get a lot of 0 for 4 go against. They get a couple. All of them,
Hmm.
of course, are conditional, but that does like their attacks are slightly smaller than a bunch of other aggro decks, but they are more consistent, right? Because cards like the 0 for 4 go against other classes have often enough have like extra conditions to get the go
You're right.
again. And what's really funny is I think it's kind of a misconception that like ninjas are like all their cards are like super powerful overrate. Really, all their cards are kind of underrate. Like a 0 for 3 go against pretty powerful, but if I swing 4 0 for 3s go against and you block with 4 3 blocks, nothing changes. You
Yeah.
know, so like that's why like we talked about how strong their equipment is. They kind of need that equipment, those extra like the flick knives triggers, they need those
Mm,
mass triggers, they need like the Tiger Stripe Shuko triggers in order to like help push additional damage to like get over the fact that like their attacks are relatively small.
yeah. So very
So yeah,
much
their attacks being
underrate.
small is yeah. I would say that they're a bit underrate when it comes to attacks.
Okay.
I think another big one is of course like they need a decent size hand in order to like do all this stuff, right? Like everything we sort of mentioned, mass triggers, whatever, you need like at least like multiple cards in hand in order to trigger. So playing defensively can be kind of hard in those scenarios. As I've mentioned before, defensive ninja decks are possible, and we'll talk into about like some of the better defensive cards to allow that to happen later.
Hmm.
But yeah, historically, like if you can cut like a ninja's hand down a couple pegs with disruption, like that can cause issues for them.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned this before the cast. You said there's a lot of positive on hits where a lot of the stuff they do is either drawing cards, but they have very few negative on hits. That's like disrupt your arsenal or take a card out your hand. Like, we seen with brutes recently, they're getting stronger
Yeah,
for 5, where at least it's a conditional discard from their hand type of trigger. But ninjas have no way of really disrupting your opponent negatively. But they
they
do
have
have a
a
lot of
couple ways. They're not particularly common,
the.
right? Like for instance, like when you think of like the most disruptive tools that ninjas can use, like Ira. has CNC, right?
Yeah, yeah. But that's locked behind the generic tag, and but yeah, she could throw the second
Exactly,
tag.
yeah.
So
But yeah, honestly, they have very few. They have a couple negative on hits. Like dishonor is a big one, but like that requires a lot of hoops to be
yeah,
true. They have that vengeance card that Ira got, that
yeah,
destroys arsenals.
yeah. But that's usually kind of like inactive vengeance, I think, is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's locked behind this combo key where if Edge Autumn or card with vengeance in the name is last attack.
Yeah, both those cards are locked behind like combo and like
Yeah.
specific builds. Like a regular aggressive ninja doesn't often have like negative on hits.
Hmm.
Draconic has a couple negative on hits. So like decks like Cindra and Phi can have some negative on hits, but those are not tied directly like to ninja. Those are tied to the Draconic class. So
Gotcha.
I think baseline ninja like really is looking to dive into the generic pool to get
Right.
the negative on hits. So that is
All
definitely like a weakness, I would say.
right. Let's talk about a few of their defensive strengths. Now I put one word here. Actually, it's a two-word thing, but the one I absolutely knew about. All right, and I always misspell it too because I always like to spell it with the C, and
Yeah, I do that too. But he's talking about Flick Flack.
I still can't spell it, man. So you're gonna have to
He's
spell it for me, dude.
I I I don't know
Oh,
how
here
to
it is. I
spell
found. I found it,
it. Oh, you
dude.
found it. Thank
Because it's I always get the C and the K mixed up, man. But anyways, Flick
I
Black.
also do.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
so Ninja's kind of like this weird class. Like all of their like a vast majority of their powerful attacks block for two. So you
mm,
would think like, oh, Ninja's pretty terrible at blocking, but then they get cards like Flick Flack, and
mm-hmm.
Flick Flack is insane.
Yeah,
So it's a 0 for 4 block, which those are like premium stats on a defense reaction, and it says like the next time you defend this turn with a card with combo, it gets +2 block, right? So against like something like a, let's say like a brute, like KO. They swing Wild Ride for 6, go again, you block for 4. Then they swing, let's say a Bear Fangs for 8, you block for 5.
yeah.
And you just presented 2 cards, and the 2 cards together blocked for 9,
Mm.
which is absolutely insane. Flick Flank's a very powerful card. I
And
have legitimately played like red, I've played yellow, I've played blue, I've played like all of them at different points in time.
And the blue combo cards works with the harmonized Kodachis too. So it's not
Yeah.
like you're not just fitting them in there just for the flip flag. You need them also for your weapon to get that consistent go again. That's how you get the Kodachis to get the go again. So yeah, pretty
Yep.
insane. That flick flag card, man. There's a reason why it's banned in stage. So
Very sad. I can't believe they would do this to me.
you're more
But yeah,
happy that you can play your Ice Ranger again.
I
Uh,
mean, I wish they would unban Honing Hood, but
yeah, LSS if you're listening.
LSS, please give me Honing Hood back. James
So
White, I know you watch this podcast every week. Please.
So what's like you mentioned earlier that they're good at blocking smaller attacks, and was
Yeah.
that because of the like I know you mentioned the brute. That's two pretty much large attacks coming at you. Wild ride plus another thing. How about the smaller attacks? Just
I mean, they have like, once again, like defensively, you would think that like ninjas aren't very good on defense, but ironically, they have like a lot of weird niches where they're extremely good at. The card Wax On, for instance, is just
mm,
kind of an insane card. Um, it's essentially like a 0 for 5 block against 0 cost cards. So if you're playing against like an assassin with stealth cards, if you're
yeah,
playing against like a ranger with like endless arrows and stuff, like yeah, Wax On is insane, right? We talked about how good 0 for 4 block is. Wax On is a 0 for 5 block against like 0 cost things. So yeah, this card is very powerful, and yeah, it's just part of like, it's an area where ninjas are good defensively.
mm. And there was a time where people were playing waxed off, but that time's over now, right?
That time is over. The Wax Off is a card I do want to discuss because it is another very powerful card.
Yeah.
Wax Off is essentially It's a 2 block D-React that's blue, and if you've played Wax on this turn, you get a Zen State token. So for those who don't know, a Zen State token, just for 2 turns essentially, any damage you take one less of it for the
Mm,
entire both the next 2 turns. It's an absolutely insane ability, and yeah, because of it, Wax Off did see quite a bit of play, like when Viscerai was big.
mm.
So if these sort of like rune chant based like rune blades ever come back, like Wax Off is a good answer to them. So
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about just getting value over the course of time, and you're just crapping all over their rune chants. I mean, that it seems pretty good. I guess
yep.
there's a reason why people still play Zen even in LL. So
Yeah, Zen is literally propped up by the fact that he can get Zen state tokens.
yeah, so pretty good stuff. So defensive strengths, a lot of good stuff. Flick flax, blocking, blocking large attacks, blocking smaller attacks, depending on the cards you have in your deck. Let's talk about their weaknesses. Now, I know for a
Um,
fact they're crap at armor to block these things. You do not want to use your armor to block your
yeah.
opponent's
Wait,
cards.
here's the ironic thing is ninjas don't have bad armor, right? Like you think of like bad heroes with like classes with bad armor. It's like assassins, it's like rangers, and they usually have like 1 block like battle worn armor. Like
Hmm.
ninja has a lot of like 2 block blade breaks.
Hmm.
Tiger Stripe Shuko, the Mask of Momentum, for instance. The reason why it gets a little awkward is, as mentioned, offensively, you really need to keep these cards around because they have such powerful additional effects that you cannot count on them to be armor,
Yeah,
right? If you're blocking with your Mask of Momentum and your opponent is at like 20 life, you need to think to yourself, like, is it really worth whatever I'm doing to block with this card if I don't get mass triggers for the rest of the game? And
yeah,
often enough, the answer is no. So yeah, like their armor suite is not bad at blocking. It's just like you just cannot block with it until the very, very last moment.
yeah,
But yeah, I would definitely agree that their armor is not great at blocking defensively. Um, and then of course, like we talked about, oh, they have so many 0 for 3 go agains. Those 0 for 3 go agains also block for 2.
yeah.
So
Not really great in blocking. And to go with what you were kind of like saying earlier, you use too many of your cards to block, it's killing your tempo. And, you really need to maintain that good, even pace to put the pressure on your opponent. Yes, you could
yeah,
do a one card three with Ira or a one card two if it's blue with Kodachis, but that's generally not really somewhere you want to be at.
yeah, certain heroes are a little better at
Mm,
blocking than others. Like Ira is a hero, for instance, that can be played mid ranged. But
yeah.
like for instance, a deck like Cindra, like if you're forcing the Cindra to block, that Cindra is like it is crying. You throw a CNC at Cindra, they look at their hand of 2 blocks. Not fun for them.
I love
But
it. Right.
yeah. So defensively, they are on the weak side.
Hmm.
Though, as I said, do keep in mind it's like the more aggressive the ninja is, the worse at blocking they are.
Hmm.
Like ninjas can be run defensively, and if so, like they can be very good at blocking. So
Yeah, I think I would be probably the one that runs the most defensive currently in the CC meta. Although Katsu kind of hybrid sometimes because he can go either combo and aggro, but he can run defensively as well. Cindra not so much. Cindra's pretty much let me put the
yeah,
gas to the pedal and
yeah.
then
I mean, Ira's a deck that can be run both ways. You can like
mm,
hunker down and be defensive, or you can run like very very fast.
yeah.
It kind of depends. So but yeah, I guess those are sort of the defensive weaknesses, I would say. Um,
So I know we mentioned two of the primary cards, the Harmonized Kodachis, the Magical Momentum, Tiger Strike Shuko. Any other key cards that come to mind that you want to
yeah,
cover?
I think another big one probably Assault the Wound, one of my favorite cards as well. Assault the Wound is so cool. We love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty innocuous, just a 0 for 2, 3 block. But it gets +1 attack for each attack that has hit this combat chain. And if you go wide enough, you can get this up to like 7, 8.
Oh
9
man.
damage. It's kind of an insane card.
I did not realize that this was a common card. When I got
Yep.
played and it was like a 7-8 attack, I was like, is this a common? I had this in my bulk and I didn't even realize it because it comes out in history back as well.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah,
like,
this
damn.
originally was in the Ira Welcome deck, so it was a
Yeah.
common in there. So Salt the Wound is awesome. We love Salt the Wound.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I guess if we're talking about Salt the Wound, we have to talk about the companion card, Mask
Mm,
of the Pouncing Lynx.
yep. There it
So
is.
it it seems very weird, all right? It seems insane when you look at how powerful Mask of Momentum is to consider other headpieces, but legitimately, I think like half the ninjas in the game would rather run Mask of the Pouncing Lynx
Yeah.
because the ability is so strong. Essentially, when it's a 2 block blade break, but
You never
ignore
using
that.
it.
It
Yeah.
will never matter. Well, it might matter, but you
Well,
don't
if
want
you
it to
use it
matter.
for blade break, you might as well just scoop and go get lunch, right? At
Yeah,
that
to be
point.
honest. So essentially, if an attack action card you control hits, you can destroy it in order to tutor for a 2 power or less card from your
Mm,
deck into your banish zone, and you can play it this turn. So on your pop off turn, essentially, you're going super wide, dealing a lot of damage.
mm.
You can break this and grab your Salt the Wound.
Yeah.
And that legitimately will be like, if you're like your average time you break mask, it should be like 8 value. Like I
Yeah.
think that's like the number people want it to be. Though it
Eh,
could be higher depending on how well your pop off turn went.
I mean, some ninja pop-off turns like Katsu, and this is before Cindra's heyday right now, but like even Fi, their pop-off turns could be upwards of 30 damage for that turn. You're talking about like, if everything lines up and they got the combos going on, and that's no cards in hand because you already used the block. Then you crack the Mask of the Pouncing Link, grab the combos and the combo card you need, and it's easily like so much damage right there. So, you know, their pop-off turns are super high. Right? I remember getting killed out of the blue
Yep.
based off these cards.
Yeah. And yeah, I think those are the key cards for like all the
Mm,
ninjas. There are definitely going to be some more we're going to talk about once we
yeah,
go over the individual heroes.
yeah.
So,
And I know I have all the ninja cards, man, but I've never built any of the ninjas yet. So you want to just go in order of their release, and
yeah,
I
let's do that.
guess the first one would be technically would be Ira then, right? Even though,
No, we can go in the order of the CC release.
okay,
Oh.
okay, then that was definitely Katsu first, the Wanderer, right? Love this guy.
Kansu is well. Why don't you read Kansu's text
Sure thing.
first?
Katsu the Wanderer. The first time an attack action card you control hits each turn, you may discard a card with cost 0. If you do, search your deck for a card with combo, banish it, then shuffle. You may play it this turn. So
So
4 intellect, 40 health, same
Kansu
shebang.
is kind of an ironic hero. I'll be real
Uh-huh.
because he is the first ninja, and
Hmm.
ninjas are very it gets a bad rap. People are like, oh, ninja's such a easy class to play. The skill floor is so low. Katsu is very complicated.
Yeah.
If I were to compare Katsu to any other hero in the current meta, I would compare him to a Cilio because they
Interesting.
actually play very similarly. Because Katsu is all about combo,
Hmm.
and essentially he's all about like setting up. You spend a couple turns being like relatively aggressive, doing some decently powerful things, and then you will have a pop off turn sort of in the mid to late game
Hmm.
that deals a lot of damage,
All
and
right.
sort of that's when you crack your Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. So if we look back at the Bonds of Ancestry, I think that's Katsu's sort of key card, right?
Yeah, I'm bringing that up for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know when they banned yellow and was it yellow and blue, and they brought
they
back out
did
red.
ban the yellow and blue, and so Katsu can only run the red version
Hmm.
of Bonds of Ancestry, which is a bit disappointing, but it makes sense because Bonds is an absolutely busted card.
Yeah.
So the combo turn, in essence, is to play Bonds of Ancestry, and using Bonds of Ancestry, you will grab a second Bonds of Ancestry, and then you will, in between the bonds, you will play some Gus Wave cards in order
Hmm.
to sort of keep the chain alive. in order to essentially just go as wide as possible. And then you'll finish it off with something like Salt the Wound. Might be helpful to look at some of the entire combo.
Sure.
So
Uh,
bonds need cards called Gust Wave attached to them. So
we'll talk to a relevant one, or should I bring up a let's say
uh
Gut Wave or Whelming Gust Wave? There's so many Gust Waves.
yeah, well, Whelming Gust Wave I think is the so all three of those probably see play in Katsu. There are a lot of Gust Waves, I'll say, so that's why like bonds like you don't have to worry like you will find a Gust Wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bonds. So Whelming Gust Wave is a very powerful one. Essentially, it swings for 4, go again, and on hit draw a card if Surging Strike was the last attack. And Surging Strike, if we can bring that one up.
I like how we gotta go backwards from the chain. It's like working out a problem backwards,
That's why I
So,
kind of compare it to Acilio because it is kind of complicated. So Surging Strike is a very simple 2 for 5 go again, right?
hmm
2 block. But it's kind of the starter of everything. So you can play this into your Whelming Gust Wave, into your Bonds of Ancestry, and then just like go super wide with that chain, right? So the way Katsu works is often enough you will play like an aggressive game plan for the a couple turns and maybe like arsenal a couple key cards. Um and then on your pop off turn, you will essentially just attempt to swing these cards with go again into combo cards. And if you're ever missing a piece, Katsu's hero text can help
hmm
you sort of grab the missing piece in the meantime, right?
Is there any card that replaces Surging Strike or acts as a copy of Surging Strike?
You also run Be Like Water, though Be Like
Uh,
Water is bad Surging Strike. Yep. So yeah,
I got you.
the Katsu, I think I would definitely call Katsu a sort of beginner's trap as well. A lot of people like to call Dory the beginner's trap, right? If you play against a Dorinthia and you don't know what's going on, like she will absolutely destroy you.
Yeah, right, right.
Katsu is pretty similar because it's very difficult to know when to block because if you can stop Katsu from hitting you, then you can prevent his tutor ability, right?
Right.
But often enough, like if you block out the surging strike, your opponent might have like the next combo piece in hand or an arsenal, right?
Yeah.
And then like it was just completely pointless because if that hits, then it still triggers, right?
Yeah, so no relevant on hits with the Surging Strike. Just take this and wait for the second one. Because
Yeah.
this doesn't work with his hero power. His hero power says, oh, no, you
No, it does.
can. He
Yeah,
does work with it.
it does.
So, am I falling into the beginner's trap now, Evan?
Um,
Where do I block? Do I just block it all and hope for the best, or is that generally how Katsu works? It's been so long since I played against this hero.
it's a good question. There you go.
Yeah.
I think often enough the rule of thumb is don't block surging strike.
Mm,
Yeah, block whatever comes next, or just prepare yourself.
yeah.
And what
Yeah.
makes it incredibly tough to block is the equipment breaking scales.
Is that another key card for Katsu?
That is a very key card for Katsu because breaking scales it's just a common, but it has an attack reaction on it to give an attack action with combo +1.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it can be very tough. You always have to account for breaking scales as long as it's up when
Yeah.
you're trying to block out the combo cards to stop the tutor effect, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
Man,
breaking scales is very powerful.
I didn't even
So
see that this is battle worn,
yeah,
and
so
it's common. Do you know if this is banned in Sage?
it is not banned in Sage,
Okay.
but
Okay.
Bonds of Ancestry is banned in Sage. So
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's the Katsu's. You don't see a lot of plays with Katsu, but I know he's still out there floating around, and he still does some degenerate stuff.
yeah, he's very
Well,
degenerate. I think if you enjoy Acilio, he's very similar to Acilio.
hmm,
He unfortunately he's worse than Acilio,
yeah,
right? Acilio doesn't need like on hits in order to do his combo properly.
yeah, and he has that
Katsu does.
dual arcane plus physical plus the tricks with Gone in a Flash. But this isn't the Cilio cast. This is the Ninja cast. So, what's the
Yep.
next hero you want to talk about?
Next up, we can probably talk about Fi. Fi was the
Okay.
next ninja
Wasn't
hero.
that your boy back in the day?
I mean, he's Jeremy's boy.
Yeah,
Jeremy absolutely loves Kodachi Fi, his favorite deck of all time.
yeah. So this one's Fire Rising Rebellion. You may start the game with a Phoenix Flame in your graveyard. Once per turn, instant 3 resources. Return a Phoenix Flame from your graveyard to your hand. This ability costs 1 less resource for each Draconic chain link you control. 4 intellect, 40 health, and that naturally means we have to bring up the good old Phoenix Flame.
I love
Right?
Phoenix Flames.
Yeah, I remember getting hit by 5 for like 30 plus damage on his pop off turn. I was like, Jesus, did not expect 5 to do it, but I haven't played
Yeah.
5 in such a long time.
Fi
Um,
is another hero that runs Mask of the Pouncing Links, and that's essentially because of how wide he goes. You can make the Salt the Wound extremely big
yeah,
because,
that's his kill card.
uh, yeah, essentially like Phoenix Flame here, it's a zero cost, zero power go again. But if you control two or more Draconic Chain Links, it gets +1.
Hmm.
So essentially, it's a 1 power attack, and that seems really terrible. But Fi is getting an extra attack for one every single turn. That's
Yeah,
very, very powerful, right? Um,
and I know
and
it.
it's like
It's
an additional chain link too. So
yeah,
you're going wider. So that's making cards like Salt the Wind better. And it's just giving you extra value every single turn.
yeah.
Phoenix Flame also works incredibly well with the Tiger Stripe Shuko, which we talked about.
Hmm.
Fi runs a lot of like small attacks, so you can often enough make Phoenix Flame swing for 2, for instance.
Right,
So you're just getting like you're stacking the value. So
and
Fi is a more simple hero. He's no Acilio like Katsu is. He just runs go again attacks into go again attacks, and he really wants to hit that threshold of 3 Draconic chain links in order to bring that Phoenix Flame back.
yeah, and then I know this. If you control 2 or more Draconic chain links, Phoenix Flame has +1. So if you play this on the second chain link, it activates that turn,
Yeah, because
right?
it
So
itself is Draconic,
yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anything else you want to mention about good old Fi?
Yeah, Fi, he's a cool hero. He and a hero we'll talk about later are kind of step on each other's toes a bit.
Well,
Um,
it's like I feel like Fi's the redheaded stepchild now. He had his time in the sun, like the firstborn. Then the new baby came along, and all of a sudden people forgot about Fi, right?
yeah,
Although some people are still playing Fi and doing remarkably well at the tournaments with them.
yeah. Fi is still not a bad hero right now.
Mm,
He was extremely, extremely broken when he first came out because the cards belittle still existed
mm,
in CC,
mm.
and belittle just made him absolutely broken.
And
Belittle got
Stubber
banned, so
Hammerers too,
Fi
right?
became Stubby Hammers was pre-banned.
Okay, okay. Uh,
Yeah.
all right, where's you
Or
next on
sorry,
this?
it was pre-banned in Blitz, I think.
Okay,
It might have been in CC, but yeah,
gotcha.
that was broken, so they banned it. So,
Where do you want to go next? You want to go with our old
well,
girl that
next we got to go. If we're going in order, we got to go with Zen.
Oh, you don't want to do Ira?
Ira came after Zen.
That's right, with her whole armory deck, right? She's not had an adult hero. All right. Zen, Tamer of Purpose, Master Cat Lover. Once return instant 3 chi resources. Pitch chi pretty much.
Yo,
Create a Crouching Tiger in your hand. Search your deck for a card with combo. Banish it. This shuffle, you can play it this turn. So, yeah, it's our Mystic Ninja hero. He's LL'd.
yeah, we won't waste too much time on him just because yeah, he has LL'd, but
Yeah.
he he works. He's kind of a weird hero. LSS messed up when they made him because they didn't anticipate that he would use Katsu's combo cards. So Zen is meant. I mean, if we can bring up Chase the Tail real quick.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, Zen was meant to just run like combo cards that specifically mention Crouching Tiger. And if you don't know what Crouching Tiger is, it's just a zero power go again attack,
Yeah,
and that's all it is, right?
yeah.
So Crouching Tigers kind of suck, but with cards like Chase the Tail, you can make them like very, very powerful. Chase the Tail, 1 for 4, 3 block combo. If you attack with a Crouching Tiger before this gets go again, and your next Crouching Tiger gets +3. So if you have 2 Crouching Tigers, this is a 1 for 7 go again.
Hmm.
Very, very powerful. So that was the original idea for Zen, is that you play these sort of combo cards that work with Crouching Tigers. They messed up because apparently the best way to play Zen is to play these sort of combo cards in addition with Bonds of Ancestry.
Right, right.
So you could play some of the Gust Wave cards. I think you could
Yeah.
play, yeah, you can play the Go Again Gust Wave cards into Bonds of Ancestry and tutor for like a bunch of different cards. And Zen was absolutely broken last year. Multiple bans had to happen in order to bring Zen down to an
Play,
okay spot.
and he still was good.
And he still was good. And because of that, he eventually did LL. And
Yeah.
good riddance.
I had all his cards and I just never built him. And I was like, because there was that time at work where I was working so much, and I came back and Zen was like at 900 points. I was like, holy crap! I missed the whole Zen meta. Right? Like literally, that was like that 3 months where he just boomed. I was
Yep.
not around. Right? I
Very
mean,
very sad.
very sad I didn't get touched by Zen. That's okay. Right?
Our local meta was not a Zen meta. Our local meta was a like 6 Kanos per armory meta. So that was
Sounds fine.
fun. Anyway, so moving on, we can finally get to the hero that that you've been trying to talk about this entire time. One of my favorites. We're talking about Ira,
You
but
know,
as an adult.
such a simple text, right? Your second attack each turn gets +1, but man, is this thing so good.
Ira's a super cool hero. I
Mm,
really love the design just because it's like it's deceptively simple, right? Like
right,
you look
right.
at it, you're like, oh, whatever. Like what a simple, boring design, but like because she has such a simple generic ability, you can build her in so many different ways, right?
Right.
I should mention wields Kodachis and she is a Mask of Momentum wielder.
Hmm.
And essentially she just plays like generically powerful cards,
Yeah.
and she can be played sort of like as a control deck, as a mid-range deck, or even as like an aggro deck, right?
Yeah.
So
And I think some of her power comes from the deck that you don't know what you're playing, because she could kind of slightly switchboard into your matchup by pitting in those generically powerful cards like, Command and Conquer comes in for, a 2 for 7. Uh, she's got the other ones like Weakest Link, right? Or
yep.
even any of the other cards. So she kind of picks and chooses what she needs. And
Yeah, the
she gets
two
all
for
the,
six generic, like like generic cards with on hits, like those two, like erase face, those are
oh, yeah.
absolutely powerful. Those are her best cards, honestly.
Yeah. And then, do you think she always runs a race face? Like as a
Not really.
static or
No, I think in this meta she probably does, but erase face is like one to consider. I think those three that we mentioned, CNC always goes in.
hmm.
Weakest link and erase face are kind of like dependent on the meta,
Yeah.
but yeah, amnesia actually too. That one has seen play in the past,
Yeah.
depending on specific metas. But like honestly, yeah, she can run those cards. She's got like a lot of good disruption because of those generics.
Hmm.
She's recently got a lot of really cool, powerful cards. I think a card that I would say is like wholly her own, like none of the other heroes run, is Dual Threat.
Oh.
I was not no no I
I
get
don't
that
know.
get that shit off screen. Get that shit out of here. I don't want to see that crap.
I love
Yeah,
trolling you so much, dude. Dual
Whirling
threat.
Mist Blossom had its time in the sun when Gravy was tier 0, but not anymore, I hope.
Well, yeah, dual threat though is pretty cool. If you attacked with a weapon this turn, the next attack action card you play this it gets +3. If you attacked with an attack action card this turn, your next weapon attack this turn gets +3. It's go again. It's block 3, generic action, yellow pitch, 0 cost. Seems pretty dang good since she's going wide anyways, and she has a lot of these chain extenders.
Yeah, it's literally a 0 for 6 go again,
Yeah,
but it's also, yellow pitch. It blocks 3. Like it's good in like so many different scenarios.
yeah,
So love
yes.
dual threat.
So if you could find a way to have that second attack get the +1 plus go again, right, and then you could play this, or even if you don't and you just use this as, you know, I mean, there's so much value here, So
Yep.
yeah, you know what? We did not talk about a kind of an important card that almost every ninja I know plays: ancestral empowerment. Forgot to mention this.
Oh, that's a good one to mention. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't say. everyone plays it because, ironically, I think Ira's like one of the few that doesn't play it. But yeah, Ancestrals. I can't believe we forgot this. This card is
Yeah.
very, very powerful.
It's probably because I mentioned it earlier when Sinclair played it on me, and we just, kind of had it in top of brain. But yeah, it's a zero cost target ninja attack action card. A action card gets +1 power. Draw a card. It's a ninja attack reaction. It's 3 block. Pretty good.
It
It
says
replaces
draw a
itself.
card on it that
Yeah.
activates neurons, but yeah, this is very strong. Like when you're
Yeah.
thinking of like mass triggers, like this can trigger your Mask of Momentum
hmm
and
And you,
also draw an additional card. So it
yeah.
it can often enough just be like a draw two. In decks like, for instance, Katsu, like if your opponent's trying to block something out, this can
hmm
get over to get your tutor effect. Ancestral's like super good in most decks.
Right.
So
And I know we're going to mention it quickly, but Sinclair's Ira plays Whirling Mist Blossom, and he did hit this with 2 Ancestrals on it, drew 4 cards. Gut wrenching, but it happens. So that's the variance.
be fooled. Whirling Mist Blossom sucks.
Dual Threat's definitely a better card for Ira.
Yeah.
But all right,
If
shall
you
we?
if you want to play Whirling Mist Blossom, it is a fun card, but be warned, sometimes it's gonna look really bad.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Whirling Mist Blossom is there's a lot of things that have to line up for you to get that on hit.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
so I guess the last one would be our good old Golden
My
Girls,
girl,
Cindra,
love her.
draw a crap of Retribution.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is a safe zone for Cindras. We
No,
tolerate gravy slander, and that's it. And prism
okay, fair.
slander. That's
And
okay too.
well, I guess that's acceptable. Whenever you hit a marked hero, create a fealty token. Kind of relevant sometimes. Once per turn, instant 3 resources. Equip up to 2 Draconic daggers from your graveyard. This costs 1 less resource to activate for each Draconic chain link you control. 4 intellect, 40 health. Eh,
Deja vu, isn't it? Yeah, her ability is very similar to Fi, which I'm
mm,
not too big of a fan of because in many ways she's just like Fi but better because they have like basically a very similar ability, right? The three draconic chain links, and then you get to do something powerful. In this case, you get to grab daggers from your graveyard. Maybe if we can see
mhm,
the kunai of retribution real quick.
Yep. And that was going to. I don't know why I put dagger in here instead of kunai.
So the kunai of retribution, you kind of look at it and you're like, wow, this card sucks because it kind of does in a vacuum. If you don't know the context of like Syndra's hero text, right?
Mhm,
It's once per turn, attack for one resource, attacks for one with go again, and then when the combat chain closes, it gets destroyed, right?
mhm,
Luckily, Cindra can bring it back. And of course, the key card that we mentioned before, Flick Knives, is very, very powerful in Cindra since you can just flick these daggers.
mhm,
Ironically enough, you very rarely attack with daggers in Cindra. Like, you very rarely pitch to attack with this.
mhm.
You simply just like run like red line, sort of like 0 for 3, go again, 0 for 3, go again, and then just flick the daggers. You also sometimes play this card, throw dagger as well.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
of course, we have to talk about the Mask of Momentum interaction with flicking daggers, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's kind of the reason why Syndra is so powerful. So, uh, a good rule of thumb in order to stop mask triggers is to block one of the three attacks. That's tough with Syndra because if you block an attack and she flicks a dagger, even though the card draw effect will not occur, technically the chain link has hit, right?
Mhm,
So the mask trigger will be retained and the next attack will have the card draw attached to it as well, right? So blocking Syndra out, stopping the mask trigger is very, very difficult, and it makes Syndra very, very difficult to block against. It is part of the reason why she is currently like one of the top heroes in the meta.
mhm.
That and because Gravy Bones means that no decks that beat Syndra are allowed to exist.
Yeah. And
Had to get that slander.
and so the big thing is with even the Syndra and the Mask of Momentum trigger, you have to ask yourself how many cards are you willing to keep for your turn next turn, and you got to kind of plan accordingly when she starts going her attacks. If you're willing to block with 3 cards, you could probably be aggressive after the first chain link hits to block the second and third one, maybe the fourth one. If you're trying to keep 2 cards, you might want to block the second or third chain link. If you're trying to keep one card, you want to block that third chain link. But these are just general rule of thumbs. You have to play each one individually because
I mean, I would
Syndra's.
definitely argue a bit differently, right?
Okay, how would you say it?
If you're okay with blocking 2 cards, I would definitely argue you wanna block the 3rd and 4th chain link, right?
Okay. So, and then that's how you do it. And
I mean,
so,
2nd and 3rd maybe, but yeah, like, it kinda depends on what kind of deck you are
yeah,
and how wide you think the Syndra can go. 'Cause I can see the 2nd and 3rd chain link being correct. Just know, like, if a Syndra is sequencing properly, the later chain links are always gonna be more awkward to block. There'll be more breakpoints the later on the chain link
yes.
goes.
I guess that's maybe why I chose the second one because it
You
seems
might
to
be right
me,
on the second one, yeah. It
yeah,
kinda depends on your hand. Like, if you have a lot of
yeah,
D-reacts, maybe go later in the chain link because
yeah.
that's when the breakpoints start occurring, and if you don't have a lot of D-reacts, then maybe go earlier, right?
I could agree with that. Yeah, because because they're planning on you blocking early so they get the chain links overdraw that card and extend their turn, or
Yeah.
at least Arsenal. So yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
Syndra's a
mean,
very powerful hero. She has, of course, natural and counters, like, there are plenty of decks that do beat her. If you really want to beat a Syndra, play Jarl. Make me cry, make me
well,
calm.
funny enough, Jarl does pretty good against. I mean, I would say Gravy, but it's more like so you can smash his compass, make him cry, but it doesn't really do good against the allies. You know?
I don't yeah, Jarl
Yeah, yeah,
a heavily teched Jarl probably can beat a bad Gravy that
yeah.
is unlucky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough matchup. I agree with you on that. Like I know you said your Guardians generally were bad matchups into it, but yeah, they just don't have anything like Cleave or anything of that sort yet.
A
Um,
cleave effect in pen would go hard, but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
back to Ninja. Syndra's really cool. She's currently the top deck at the moment, and yeah, no, I'm a big fan of her.
Yeah,
She's
I
a lot of
think
fun to play.
she is like the epitome of an aggro deck. Like you got her, you got dash variations, stuff like this. But I think Cindra really hones in that. If we had to compare it to Magic together, the red line, you know, aggro type variant people love. I see Cindra doing that really well. But I like Cindra because she's not just simply throw attacks at you. And most people that think that Cindra's just throwing attacks at you, those are usually the Cindra players that aren't. I'm not saying great, but I've fought good Syndra players, right? The ones that actually know how to sequence and really get those edges off to get that mass momentum trigger, and they are so much harder to play against if they know what
Sequencing
the hell
is
they're doing.
definitely important, right? I think
Yeah,
we talked about this before, where people think like, oh, Syndra's like an easy deck to
yeah,
play, and as I mentioned before, the floor is very yes, it is easy to play on a baseline, but like trying to bait out attacks,
mm,
trying to say like, do you care about the mass trigger or do you care about like maybe like is there a snatch at the end? Do I block the mass trigger here?
mm,
Um, like what kind of on hit effects do I want to happen, and which ones do I want you to do I want to bait blocks? Right, like that's all like massive things you got to think about, and
yeah,
it does like it is very difficult, but like you know any deck is difficult in the sort of intricacies of things, right?
yeah. So I mean, I think that when we go into our question, like, what do you think separates a good ninja player from a bad one? Evan, like you kind of mentioned it, but let's say it one more time. What do you think separates a good ninja player from a bad one? Or let's say a good ninja player from a great one. All right.
I think, as I said, just sequencing.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many different hands that, like, because all your cards have go again, you can kind of play them in any order you want. But figuring out like the exact order to maximize value, right? I think like saying to yourself like, I want this card to hit. I do not care if this card hits, or saying like, I feel like he's going to be scared of this card hitting, but I don't care about it, so I'm going to try to bait blocks with it. Sometimes even like I want this card to hit, but I think that he's going to be worried that I'm going to have like attacks later on that are more important. Like there are so many different sequences, and figuring those out is sort of key to playing Syndra well. And yeah, I think in general, Ninja's very
Hmm.
much like that, right? You want to basically be pushing for tempo. You want to be forcing your opponent to block. it is very much a deck that's like, hey, you need to block me at least a bit, like
Mm,
any of the heroes, right? Like even like defensive like Ira decks, right? Will be threatening mass triggers. So
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
just do that and yeah, get good at like baiting out blocks and figuring out like the best sequencing with your hand, and you'll do great.
so what's a good hero you'd recommend people to start off with? Would it be the Cindra? Would it be the Ira? Would it be Katsu?
That's a good question. I think Syndra's not a bad option. Well, I think like
Well,
I would not recommend Katsu unless
mhm,
like once again like if he appeals to you, like
sure.
definitely try him out because he definitely looks like fun. For newer players though, I would definitely recommend like Ira or Syndra just because they're a lot simpler. Syndra currently is a bit expensive just because she's kind of top of the meta right now.
Yeah.
Flick Knives has gotten cheaper, but cards like Mask of Momentum are a bit pricey, and Ira just got a welcome, or not a welcome deck. Ira just got an armory deck that I think is
Mm,
quite powerful. So, yeah, maybe Ira, maybe Syndra if you want. Most of the Syndra cards are pretty cheap, just like Mask is a bit expensive.
mm.
So, there is a way to build a more budget oriented Syndra build. But yeah, I'd say one of those two. Fi's okay, but I am a bit worried about Fi since he's about to LL and
900 points or something like that, isn't
he's pretty high up there.
he? Yeah.
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 So,
I mean, it's only going to take him winning a few more. But yeah, I would recommend. I'm always a big fan of armory decks, even if they don't really meet our expectations sometimes at upon release. Dude, I try
yeah.
to hold
So,
that yawn in so hard. Anyways,
well,
but the Ira armory deck is a great place to start. Then of course, you can't pick up the Cinder cards for cheap, other than the key cards that make her expensive, like you said, the equipment. All right, I guess we kind of covered the MythBuster already, which is Ninja is brainless aggro, and we kind of said that's absolutely not true. Sequencing is what separates a good ninja player from a great one. Um, Anything else you want to mention here before we start wrapping this up?
no, I think like Ninja's one of my favorite classes. I think everybody has like that trio of classes they like. Mine would
Mm,
be like Ranger, Guardian, and Ninja.
okay, I
So
don't
yeah,
think I ever
we've
knew
gone
that.
over all of my favorite classes. So it's only downhill from here. No,
That
but
doesn't mean for our listeners not to tune in because we got a lot of good information coming up.
lot of good stuff coming around. But yeah,
Mm,
no, it's like Ninja. Ninja's a fast class. Ninja's a fun class. If you really just want to like constantly be doing things, definitely play Ninja, right?
mm.
Because you're always going to be on the front foot. You're gonna be freaking slinging a lot of cards, and yeah, it's a blast. Plus, if you like drawing cards, a lot of Ninja cards say the word "draw a card" on them. So
It's always good. And that wraps up for Ninja Class Deep Dive. If there's one thing to remember, it's this: Ninja's not about playing fast, it's about playing right. And every chain link matters, every decision compounds, and one misstep can turn momentum into nothing. You want to keep the conversation on target and contact us. My Discord handle is midnight_WI11. Feel free to reach out. You can also leave a comment down below. And until next time, remember, every turn is a decision, every decision is a story. And don't forget,